Alright, folks, welcome back, everyone. 皆さん、おかえりなさい。今日は327日目です。It is day 327. Got our second lesson day yesterday, so that composes a higher than usual number, actually. 80, usually expecting around 60, so it's perhaps a little higher this one. Don't know. Got probably another unit here. Maybe some more burnout items or some more burn items. Alright, let's get right into it. Fuji-san. Chuka. Yosai. Oh, yasai.
野菜
Yasai. Eh. What?
粉状
Eh.
いくら
Ikura.
華やか
Sama.
さまざま
Sama. Okay. What? Uh.
蔵
Kura. Okay.
用心
Yojimbo.
棒
What did they use for instead of replace? What is that? Oh no, not replace. This isn't. It's previously since. Yeah.
尋問
Jinmon.
Fuyu
Fuyu.
道
道
徳
徳
初耳
Hatsumimi.
幾度
Ikudo.
粉
Ah.
Tomi
Tomi.
Obi
Obi. Okay. Okami Otoko.
狼男
What is that? Private Butsu. I wonder if that's simplified. Huh.
不器用
What? Unyomi. Oh wait, I did the same thing. Oh, Saka. Changed. That's a changed character. Kabunch. Oh, what? Oh,
花粉症
Hakunsho. Hakunsho.
印鑑
Inkan. Betsu. Hachinosu.
蜂の巣
Hachinosu.
泥
Doro.
短足
Ansoku. Uh. Nageku.
嘆く
Nageku.
泣いて
Oh. I don't know what was off about that.
棒
Oh. Okay.
除外
I.
散歩
Sanpo.
墓
Aka.
豪華
Goka. That one's rough. Still.
トム
Tomu. Tomu. Skill.
掃除
Koji.
平均
Heikin.
探
Thank
求
you.
菜食
Saishoku. Ooh. Oh.
材料
Zairyo. Zairyo. Wait, something's not quite right here. Oh, okay. That's fine. Ingredients is fine. And material. Sure.
尋ねる
Azuneru. I think I didn't work on this yesterday, right? Yeah, I didn't. Azune. And ne. at the zoo. Oh. About the zoo. What do we have? Jean? This just feels like it's stringing together. Stringing together multiple things. I'll come back to it. That's probably why I skipped it. 다즈네르. Okay.
MAKU.
Sagasu.
探す
Ooh, doubt is not good. Doubt is so not good. Something like, yeah, doubt is so. Oh wait. Oh, it's like utagau. 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 Oh yeah, this needs help. We gotta change this. It's probably like Tagalog. Yeah. Yeah. That is not going to work. Ga. What is Ga for? What do you use Ga for? I don't even know what I use Ga for. What does Ga sound like? We use got. I guess we're gonna keep it with got for now, I guess. Ugh, man, that one's rough. Wait, gi? Oh my gosh, it's gi too. Oh no, this is bad news bears. That one is gonna be bad news bears.
いくつ
いくつ
徳
川
川
あちのおち
墓地
周囲知る
知る What? Oh no.
直線
直線
泥水
水
鑑定
判定
す
比例 Oh no 比例
比例
比例 This one's kind of rough. Or like, or proportional. No, proportionally. Something like that. Yeah, being proportional. Okay. Fine. Oops.
約
Yaku. Yaku. No, wait. This might be slightly different. It's not quite the same as yaku being used alone. I think it kind of means something different. About or approximately. Oh. Oops. Suka.
通貨
Different too. Surprise. Something about a door? I think it might actually just be Doku. Oh, no, it's not. Huh. Oh, Donaku? What? Oh, no. And you surprised the dough with a cookie. Where? 驚く。
驚く。
Oh no, why am I drawing a blank on that?
山脈
山脈. Okay. Yep.
直径。
Okay. Diameter. Okay.
陸軍
徳島県。
徳島県
貨
貨
物。
物。Oops, I missed the R. That's fine.
均
均
等。
等。
解散。
解散。解散。簡単。あ、簡単風。
簡単譜
簡単風。Okay. 由来。
抱負
抱負。
吐く
Haku. Haku. I actually don't know if I wrote anything for this yesterday. Oh, for Soul. The cookies with his hat. Sweet. Oh, yeah. He swept it with his hat. Swiped. It's okay. Not that great. It's not that great.
したい。
They. 受け入れる。
受け入れる。
お願い。
お願い
お願い。クモの巣。クモの巣。Actually, is it like spider? Oh, it's just one word. Spider web is one word. Oh.
Chokushin.
Chokushin. I'm gonna need to add some silences in here somewhere. Chokushin. Or like movement straight ahead? Or going straight ahead? Yeah, movement straight ahead. That's fine. Kiga? Huh? 科学。
幾何学。
カビ。
カビ。
Splendorous, splendor,
金星
quince, uh,
探
探
偵
偵 I guess. Yeah, private detective. I misspelled detective.
京丹
京丹
大
大
陸
陸
倉庫
倉庫
妨害
妨害 の除く
覗く
除く
半径
半径半径 Oops
す
すだ
だち
ち
煮
煮
る
るつなうつ the two oh no oh すく
すくう
Scoo. Oh man, Scoo. Scoo. Get it.
角
Kado. What the Kado? Showy ways? The way to be very showy. Oh, like gaudy. Ah? What? Wait, hold up. Showy ways? Huh. Oh, wait. Flower arrangement. Oh, that one's gonna be really tough.
救急車
子孫
Shizon. Shison. Oh, that's just because it's plural.
海
海
兵
兵 Oh no. Nagake Naka Naga Nasa Nasa Nasakenai.
情けない
Like not good or do you have any wisdom to provide outside from counting down to 3 seconds? Wait. Aside from counting down. Oh, for sleeping? Oh, are you talking about sleeping? I have no idea. That is something I'm still working on. Oftentimes, if you have a space heater or like a fan or space heater, turning on a fan and blowing maybe some cold air on or circulate some air on your body while having it a timer so it would turn off after a while is kind of something. Slightly lowering your core body temperature is a way to promote sleepiness, if that's a thing. There are others who like being weighted down. Also a thing. Like a weighted blanket or something like that. It can help. If those are accessible. Yeah, if the room is hot, it's going to be a little bit rough. And the opposite is true. The opposite is true on the other hand too, where when you're getting up, if it's too cold, having like a multi-purpose, slightly like hotter device that can also blow wind is good. You can try to keep it on, like it's programmable, hoping it's programmable. You can put it on like a 30-minute timer. It blows cold air while you're trying to sleep, and then in the morning when you're having, you know, trouble getting up out of bed, you can turn it on and program it for like the 15 minutes you take a nap or something. A little hot air so that your body is ready to go. Generally speaking, though, your body is supposed to do that already. Like, the idea is you're complementing. So if it's too hot when you're sleeping, that can be a very big issue. This is all like not a substitute. Most of this stuff is not a substitute for obviously sleep hygiene and sleeping consistently, start and finish in the day on a reasonable schedule. But those are some of the things that can happen. You don't know how radiators turn on? Oh yeah, if you have a radiator, that's not generally what I'm referring to. Like the twisty ones, I know. I'm talking more like a fan device. So a lot of times there are different fan devices now where they have like something that can move air. And then they have like a coil. They also have a coil around them nowadays, and they usually come with like a programmable thing and maybe like a remote. They come in many shapes, so I'm just drawing a regular, like a standard shape. And the coils allow them to blow warmer air. It's not a fancy fan. These come at like 30 bucks, maybe even 40 bucks USD. It's a common appliance to have these. Actually, even fancier is that it might have air filtration, which then jacks this up to like $80 USD. That's when you get fancy, but generally moving air and heating the air is very cheap. You can buy two separate things instead, like buying a space heater. A space heater, it's two things combined into one, right? A space heater, it kind of looks like a block, and you can program it. Make sure to program it for like a specific amount of time, like 15 minutes in the morning or something. And then get a regular box fan, right? The ones, a box fan. And those, if you can find something that's programmable, it's fine too. Largely because you don't want to, if you let it run through the day, it's fine too. I've known people who just run box fans, and these things are like dirt cheap. Box fans are probably almost less than the materials they're made of, but I would say less than $5, and they can run all night on like a low setting. So, and sometimes this can generate white noise. People like white noise. Oh, because of tinnitus? Yeah. So that's probably getting a fan. Getting a fan, putting it next to you, let it blow. Like it's not really to completely cool you down, but the idea is like can be something you focus on, and then also there is a chance you can be a little cooler for that. You're not trying to turn on an AC basically. These things are not supposed to replace a radiator and AC. Not really. A space heater is pretty tough if not programmable in my opinion, because space heaters can get way too hot. However, you're waking up. So when you're waking up, it's just for a short amount of time. You mean you can grab the AC? AC is if it's programmable, it's okay. But oftentimes the AC can, you know, lead to cold. Like you could become too cold and maybe that can affect your health. So box fans are pretty okay. At least this isn't like medical advice. These are more like habit formation things that I've noticed others have used. I have a device that acts as a fan and a heater with a timer that goes from like 5 minutes in steps to 4 hours ish. So I would set the fan to just circulate for about an hour. If I'm still awake by then I would probably... You need a fancy fan heater in your life? That's one way to go about it. It is an investment. But one way is to have something portable like that. There are other things you can do, like wearing socks. If you like wear socks, or I mean no one wears gloves, but if you wear gloves and socks to sleep, what happens is your hands and your palm and your feet are where circulation dilates. So what happens is when it dilates, it cools your body. So your core cools down because your hands and feet gets warm. That's kind of where you lose most of your heat. Your heat radiates from your hand and your feet. So like when you go outside in the cold weather, it's usually your hands, your feet, and maybe like your facial cheeks and stuff. But I mean, wearing a mask is kind of weird. So there are other ways to get circulation going in your body. Wearing socks is what people do as well. Like very, very comfy socks. Your nose gets cold first outside, yeah. Anything like on the extremities of your face. And then usually that's why, you know, people wear gloves in the winter time, and then making sure your feet doesn't lose too much. So like wool socks and boots. Your core largely stays pretty solid despite not having too much layers when your hand and your feet are warm. Flying UK doesn't get super cold. Yeah, well, it's not surprising if you knew how the currents work, like the ocean currents and whatnot. But yes, it doesn't. UK has mild weather because of the Atlantic Ocean. Like the way the Atlantic Ocean interacts with UK. In the United States, it's often a misconception. It's often a misconception when Europeans like talk about their weather and they compare it. They compare it to the United States. The United States have like different currents, and typically if you go across latitudes, or is it longitudes? Longitudes. You know, like, oh, we're about the same distance from the equator. Actually, because of the way the geography works and how the currents work, the United States have more extreme weather at the same like distance from the equator than Europe, largely because of how the currents work in the major ocean. So like, you know, you have, I can't draw geography, but we'll try. right? And then we have the right. And even if you like draw a line through the place, like here, because I'm like around here, this portion of the United States will experience more range in climate weather than this range, largely because the way the current works through here versus the way the current works through here, it creates a different phenomenon. Yeah. So depending on how much you know about climate, it's not too surprising that the UK has mild weather. You really wonder, aside from housing and AC, what makes the summer so horrible here? Yeah. Maybe that's something to think about when summer rolls back around. Here's another interesting thing about the human body. If you're exposed to that weather and you becoming like acclimated, it actually works pretty quickly. It doesn't actually take that long to acclimate to the weather. The thing is, though, you would need the mental fortitude to do so, I suppose. Like, for example, right now, I run every single day outside, rain, snow, or shine. And the first year or two it was kind of tough to adjust to the pattern. Now it's like, it's less and less bothersome. Like right now, it's today I ran below freezing. So, but it's less. I'm wearing less layers than I had the previous 2 years. And then when it got hotter this year, you know, like over 36, right? Over 36, 37 degrees, maybe even 38 degrees Celsius. I usually run without drinking or hydrating. So most of the time it's gotten pretty easier after the two or so years of running in different weather. So most of my layers and stuff become more and more mild because of how the body adjusts. Body does acclimate pretty well if you're not countering it with other things. But countering with other things means that your body doesn't do that. Well, what it says to me is it could be two things. If you say your body doesn't clearly acclimate to summer that is impending and inevitable, compensating for it is also another way to explain that your body is not acclimating to it. It's not saying that it does. It also doesn't say that it doesn't. Because if you're used to climate controls and counteracting it, that's different from allowing your body to acclimate to it. You know, so it can be really tough to know. And I'm going to be real here. It defies genetic components most of the time. The way acclimation works with mental fortitude. Like you're talking about the difference between people swimming in ice cold water as a daily activity versus people walking around in the desert as mild. So acclimation is way larger range. That includes the mild places, which UK is one of the mild places. So the human range isn't incredibly human range is far more dynamic. That includes the ranges we are talking about on average. Like human acclimation exceeds the ranges that we're talking about. So what I think is cold and what I think is hot, it's not uncommon. It's not a rare thing to have a human be acclimated to a larger range than what I'm describing. Yeah. It's fun doing it though, like in my opinion. I mean, it's not fun in the moment, but it's fun to look back on it. Where like I was running with 2 or 3 layers during the winter, and now I'm running with 1 layer. And then during the warmer season, I was like gasping for breathing problems because I was not breathing and things were all stuffy too. Now I barely struggle with it. Usually you're okay with winter, just not spring, summer. Sounds nice reducing layers though. Yeah, but the other way is very similar. Like what I mean is, it's similar in the mental game, but instead of reducing layers, tolerance goes up. So like it's difficult to pinpoint what it is, but breathing becomes more, distance becomes more, like exertion has a higher cap over time. And obviously this also goes into cardiovascular health and whatnot. Obviously there's genetic components that sway a little bit, but I don't think it's within the range of, I don't think it's like some sort of incredible statistical anomaly to not be adjusted. Especially to the weather that is inevitable. If we're talking about a place that just has crazy inconsistent things all the time, that might be a different story. I'm not entirely sure if people like to live in such a place. Maybe they'll counteract it with climate control and whatnot. Yeah. Alright, so I've been staring at this for a while. Nasa... What was it? Nasakenai. It's bad. It's kind of like not miserable. I kind of need something for this. Have I written something for this? I haven't. Oh, it's because it's off pity, right? Nasake. That doesn't help. Alright, so Nasa. UKAC situation is terrible. It basically doesn't exist here. Under 5% of houses have it, so we all overheat in the summer. There are solutions for it. Depends on what you want to do with that. AC is certainly a situation. AC is certainly a way to get around that. Pitiful. Pitiable. Is pitiable really a word? Hold up. Wow. I haven't ever used that before. Deserving or arousing pity? Pitiable? Dang. It almost seems like it's a word I would make up. Pitiable. Pitiable. Fun times. You lost your fuzzy socks a year back. May want to get some more, or you've never heard of that. And also have never heard of that word. Yeah, pitiable. It feels like one of those like, oh, that's you just added able to a adjective. So that's like shameable. Wait, is shameable a word? Yeah, see? Oh, wait. No way. Oh, well, it doesn't give me a dictionary, but... Oh, there is? No. No. It's like questionable. Yeah, see? See, that's what I mean. Like, that's what I mean, you know? Shameable is not. It does summarize English combining things, just like, yeah, whatever. Like wreckable, you know, like wretched or wretchable. Wretchable. Patheticable. Anyways, so nasa. Nasa is like now, and I guess we can see saw. And then, what is it? Jo? Okay. I can do something with this. Like Jo. Na. Jo, na. Nai. Eh? What does nachos? Ke? Kettle. A kettle and some nachos. That he wants. For reducing his misery, maybe I could just use maybe miserable situation. All right, I'll just go with that. This one's kind of weird. You think you'll just try the usually working don't move a single thing until you sleep at some point method? Weighted blankets. That's kind of the weighted blanket situation. Yeah. Actually, it's kind of a common... It's fairly common for as people get older to use weighted blankets. And I don't think weighted blankets are necessarily supposed to be warm, like thick or hot. They just happen to be heavy. And that's one of those things that simulate the not moving a single thing until you sleep situation. Yeah. Yeah, you left your nice blanket. You'll have to bring it back next weekend. Oh, okay. Yeah, you did mention that. Oh, that's what you were referring to. Okay, so that one's heavier. I'm gonna tell you now. Like, I have like one thin, like fleece blanket, and when I'm lying down like this, right? Like, if I'm lying down, my blanket is like over here with my hands out and my feet's exposed, and then I have like one sheet, just one sheet over with a pillow, and yeah, no leg coverage. It's to help me cool down faster. And then I sleep on the floor. This is a foam mat, and it's about exactly my size. It's slightly long enough like to cover my hands, but yeah, that's how I sleep. Do you not fear people grabbing you? I'm on the is the best way you can describe. I'm on the floor. And the path, so if you imagine the path, right? So the door is here. My desk and setup is here. This is blocked off, which is right here. And my bed is here. And it's on the ground. So my desk, you have to walk around And there's space here. But you have to walk around the desk. You have to walk this way. So my desk is I can see the door. So I sit here right now and this is where my desk is. I can see the door. This is why whenever my parents need something, I can see that they're coming. My back is never turned towards the door. And I agree with you. It's also the way how, like, I guess energy works. We're talking about like feng shui, right? Something like that. And yeah, door is always there, so it's fine. I know what you mean by fear of people grabbing you. Yeah, you don't want to point your body. You don't want to point your body away from, like, in a manner that makes it so that you create insecurities, right? And one of them is to, like, leave yourself in a vulnerable state through where the, like, energy enters the room, right? So the door is typically the thing. And I'm saying energy because that can describe other people's insecurities. It doesn't have to be simply the door. It could be something else that they, like a window could be an example of where something is very scary. So you would point yourself towards the window maybe, or have the window in sight. Your room, so like the head of the bed is furthest from the door. Yeah, that's usually the case for people who have those insecurities, right? And the bottom of the bed faces towards the door. Yeah, exactly. Like the end part of the... I sleep on the floor, so it's actually kind of hard to do anything off the floor. Like I squat up. So the foam pad is, if this is the foam pad, right? A standard desk would be about this high. To give you an idea of how far down on the ground I am. It's like a the closest thing would be like if you stack maybe 4 yoga mats, you know, those like mats that you see in the gym. If you stack 4 of them, you might get my bed mat. So I'm really close to the ground. I actually squat up when I get up. So to get up out of bed is actually tough, which is intentional. I get out of bed by squatting up, so getting back into bed is not an option when I get back up. It creates a mental and physical barrier. Dude, once getting up, you're not going back to bed. And then when I lie on the ground, I'm not getting back up. Some mental gymnastics and some some physics to help with committing to something. Oh, you actually wonder, do you ever have heart conditions triggered by accidentally when standing, getting down towards your bed? Yeah, sometimes. The way to alleviate that is know how to squat. So, right, like if you have a deep squat, you're not plopping yourself on. Like, I don't plop myself onto a bed. I lower myself and elevate myself. I rise out of bed. No, like I squat down. I squat. Oh, wait, I squat too. Yeah, I like squat down into a position. Not like, I don't just go and throw myself onto a bed. Yeah, it would really hurt. Like, you would pretty much injure yourself if you throw yourself onto the ground. So I squat up and I squat down. So when I sit, I squat down into my seat. I don't like just land onto the seat like a lot of people do. Like, I don't throw myself onto a couch. I lower myself onto a couch or lower myself into the seat. So not like the kid situation. No. And that's usually because I practice mobility. I tend to try to keep my body very controlled, for lack of a better word. So calisthenics. Calisthenics is what I practice in the evening for maintenance. And calisthenics involves squats, right? Squats, pull-ups, push-ups, and dips. And all of these require support and full range of motion. And then calisthenics is very conducive to yoga or stretches, right? Quote unquote yoga, but it's more like stretching and whatnot. So active and passive stretching comes with calisthenics. So my body is very nimble. It's nimble enough that I can lower myself up and, you know, go down and up without falling down and falling, like hopping up. There's no need for momentum. So I'm not like springing out of bed and suddenly falling into bed. It's more like, I'll just sit down very, very slowly, or as slowly as I. Yeah, you saw in old logs, you did log some calisthenics. Yeah, I stopped logging them because they became a little bit too unwieldy. In the future, I might log what the maintenance is. I do calisthenics for maintenance now, and I run for maintenance. I don't run for performance. From time to time, I might try to run for performance or try something a little bit, but it's different from trying to get performance out. They're all for maintenance now. So I'm not progressively overloading pull-ups or skill training to do more fancy pull-ups and more stronger things. I like where I am, so basically the log would stay the same the entire time. Unless over time, the thing that would change is aging. I would age, so then I would have to slowly increase my activity. So if I was keeping a log of calisthenics, my activity would slightly go up because of counteracting and mitigating aging for the same performance. Your activity has one of the most misunderstood thing is that when you get older, your activity has to go up to compensate for getting the proper stimuli to maintain your activities. So over time, activity is going to go up, not go down. So you know how a lot of times like, oh yeah, you're old, you should take it easy. Yes, take it easy as in lower the intensity, like the overall intensity of your maintenance, not necessarily reduce the frequency of your maintenance to help with like stiffness. Stiffness will build over time, so you need more activity for that. And those are more lifestyle choices, not necessarily like bro sciencing for gains. Not hypertrophy. I haven't done anything for hypertrophy in a very long time. My body is like somewhere in the mid-range, healthy, maintainable, and that's kind of where it is. Unless someone magically comes up to me and say, hey, I'm gonna do a marathon in a year's time and I need some motivation, then I'll start training for something. But I'm not training right now. I don't train running or train calisthenics. I maintain calisthenics and running for maintenance. Yeah. We haven't talked about maintenance, Mika, and I don't usually bring up maintenance because that's boring for most people. And when people talk to me, they're usually talking about problems that they have. And problems require change, improvement, and performance seeking. Maintenance is you're happy, you're there already, and there are things you simply want to maintain so that they don't get any worse. That is that coping strategy if it's not voluntary. So if you're coping, it's maintenance is the voluntary version of coping. You're maintaining your things and it's not really negative because you already know how to manage it. So in terms of like eating and dieting, most of the time I eat for maintenance. And then when I go out, I eat for pleasure. So social eating and regular eating are kind of two different things, right? So like WaniKani, when I was doing Duolingo, right, for the first year, then I moved to WaniKani. The first like couple months was actually maintenance of content. It was learning the methods, but it was a maintenance of the content, and maintenance deals with practice. So the things you want to keep, you still have to maintain them, which is something that requires a lot of discipline and time management. The things you want to keep requires maintenance. As a human being, unfortunately or fortunately for people, the reality is without maintenance, it doesn't matter how good you are at one point in your time. Without maintenance, you don't get to hold on to that. It fades. So I train my body very similarly to how I train my mind, which just because I'm not learning something new doesn't mean I would neglect all the things that I have already done. You can toss them out if you want, but generally speaking, if I put time into acquiring something both mentally and physically, I wouldn't want to lack the discipline to not hold on to those things that I've spent time investing in. That would truly be a waste of time. That would be a true waste of time. And hear me out. Maintenance, whenever you hear maintenance and someone says like, oh, you never mentioned maintenance before, I actually do mention maintenance when I talk to a stranger. It's usually about habit formation. So whenever someone tells me that they're very successful, they've done a lot of things, the thing that I actually focus on is habit formation. That's how you get maintenance. Routine is how you get maintenance. So when you gain something, it doesn't get lost in the process. When you learn things, one of the things that makes it memorable, consistent, and reliable that you're working on, the routine that you're working on, scheduling and time management, it allows you to go into maintenance. As in, you can learn things while working on how to maintain them. So one day when you say, I learned enough, you already have maintenance. Most people right now, in my opinion, they learn something, they use it, and then they dump it. They don't maintain it. So in another year or two, they go back to learning the same thing, using it again, and maybe the second time around, they learn how to maintain it. So that's kind of like English. English is not maintained. It's rare to encounter someone who has maintained their English. The lowest form of maintenance is to use it, right? However, when I say I rarely have encountered someone who maintained their English, I'm talking about at one point at the peak of their English, for example, their native language was not the current language they're using now. Usually peak acuity in your language is when you continuously learn and maintain it, or force to maintain it. And that's usually education. In education, at some point, it actually dips a little. And it keeps dipping based on your usage. So there's plenty of things you have probably have learned that you no longer use. And you probably don't even recall them until they're triggered because you haven't used them in a long time. It's not that they're gone. The nice thing about establishing a maintenance skill is that you can easily go back and boost up something that's already learned, because you don't go back to zero technically. When you learn something, you don't dip all the way back to zero. It's usually something higher than that. This gap here is a lack of maintenance. And the nice thing about working on routines is when you have an off day, you have a day that you just don't want to learn anything. Like you don't want to learn anything. You could care less about, you have enough. What is left behind is the routine to maintain it. If you go in without a routine, which I think right now, if you're younger than 25, I know I use age a lot as a barometer. If you're younger than 25 and you grew up on the internet, you learn things without having to do this. How do you do it without this? You can use an app to track everything. So when you're done with the app, the tracker goes away. But you didn't create an understanding of your routine, so that goes away too. So your maintenance is not there. The goal is you hope that when a person uses an app, they learn what routine works for them, and then they carry this routine into the future. So then you keep the skill that you developed. That's not how games teach you things. That's not how Netflix teach you things. And you might be thinking, what do you mean Netflix teach you things and whatnot? That's not how flexibility teach you things. If these things go away, there's no discipline left. And there's a word for this that people use a lot. Structure. Structure is gone because structure is provided by the thing you're interacting with. And those logs, well, too late to turn back, not that you want to. You're stuck with Anki for the long run then? Maybe. You can still develop the skills. You're doing it. You're like scheduling Anki, right? You're already doing other skills in which Anki is part of the equation. So that's kind of the thing that makes adults quote unquote reliable. When you get older, you want to become more reliable on your experiences. So routine creates expectations that are more grounded in experience. That's largely why when someone very young and impressionable and say, oh yeah, you know, I can do this for like 6 months. It's like, okay, what does that look like? And they would be like, oh, you know, I'll just pull up Anki and do the exercise whenever Anki tells me. It's like, that doesn't tell me you can maintain it. That tells me you can follow rules or you can follow a system that's provided for you. That's like going to middle school and high school and then getting to college and you realize, man, I need to sort out a lot of my time management skills because now I have a lot of choices and flexibility. And then you keep asking, oh yeah, I want a program with more and more flexibility. The more and more flexibility you get, the more and more effort you have to put into it to develop your schedule and your due diligence. So oftentimes whenever someone tells me Anki is where you should start, my first thought is, do you have a schedule? Do you know how to motivate yourself? Do you know where to solve problems or get information to add and adjust Anki if the Anki information is not useful? If not, using something with higher structure can give you an idea of what your structure is going to look like. When I start something, I already have a structure to start with, and then I work on that structure as I'm going. Rarely do I ever start from scratch anymore because structure, time management, And routine is a life skill. It carries to everything you do. When you are having the worst day of your life during your routine is always there to catch you. That is what true routines are. No matter what you do, no matter how bad it is, ups and downs, your routine is there is supposed to catch you. It's the most comforting thing you can possibly do. And younger people do have this. Just not in the way that helps them achieve their skill building. What's a good routine? Doom scrolling. Doom scrolling is a good example of a young person's routine. So if you can understand why doom scrolling, when you can understand why doom scrolling gets you so fixated, you can also use that to your advantage. You can change most things into a doom scroll. Learning kanji could be your new doom scroll, right? You flip through 10 flashcards. That's doom scrolling. So that's pretty much what I'm saying about the internet. We talked about automation, right? That's what automation takes away. Automation takes away from needing to do it enough. We're not talking about always doing everything manually. The idea is having the ability to can be useful sometimes. So you proportionally practice skills based on how useful they are. The problem that might occur right now is if you don't ever engage in those things, you never know how they can be applied. And to me, the internet echo chamber has made it very difficult for early, inexperienced people to solve enough problems so that later down the road, they can still solve those problems. No matter what you do, no matter how bad it is, a cute girl will always be there to read your vocabulary out for you. Reassuring, yes. And you created that. You did look for ways to automate kanji to hiragana, but you decided not to in the end, by the way. You can still do that once you're able to do the process yourself sufficiently, right? And then occasionally challenge it every once in a while. Remember that you're looking to learn something and then maintain it. So when you're learning, it requires, let's just say it requires 10 happy dollars. When you're maintaining something, right, through practice, it's less happy dollars. It's like 2 happy dollars. So when you learn something, it's easier to maintain it than not maintain it and relearn it again. Even if you relearn it, it will still cost like 5 happy dollars. So over time, constantly having to recondition yourself instead of maintaining it could be a way to offset losing skills over time. So maintenance is generally always going to be less. So once you are able to do that, scaling it back and to maintain that is far less effort. It's that other person that I linked before, momentum. Momentum can be maintained. You don't have to always push for more momentum. You can maintain it. When something is going, it can be remaining in perpetual motion. When you start, it's really hard. So don't stop. Slow down. Instead, that's kind of the idea. You're preserving the kinetic energy that's moving forward. And that's kind of how I think about learning. My momentum is carried from my high school days. My ambitions to learn and do things is carried ever since I left high school. It hasn't stopped. I didn't say one day, oh yeah, I'm just gonna chill and veg out and not learn anything. I didn't stop learning since I was able to choose whatever I learned. The stuff that forced me to learn things gave me the way to start. So elementary, middle school, high school, they gave me the momentum, the shove, and then I've been running ever since. In my head, I've been running ever since. So no, I didn't randomly started language learning. I never really start over with learning. Learning is still learning. Regardless of what the context is, it doesn't matter if it's Japanese or Chinese, I'm still learning. If you ever want to relearn French, that would be unfun. Yes. If you ever relearn English, that would be unfun. It would be really tough. So thankfully, you never have to relearn those things, like English, for example, because you're maintaining it. You are using English as a form of maintenance. And that's one of the most intuitive things to do. Use what you've learned is maintenance. Now, there are things that you don't always use that can fall out of maintenance. And one of them is fitness, diet, sleep. Even though you do it all the time, it still can fall out of maintenance. English still falls out of maintenance. Like recently, when I'm learning kanji and hanzi, I was reminded of words that I haven't used in a very long time. Like serendipity. Serendipity is pretty good. I still use it to some extent. What's a good example? Tenacious, ostentatious, splendor, radiant, vicissitude, meandering, on like AWN. I totally forgot about that one, but that's kind of. Why does my dad not keep speaking French around me? Easy second language if he did. Yes, that would be. Oh, so your maintenance for that would have been to encourage your father to speak to you in French, right? I only speak to my parents in Fujianese. And while they don't want to learn English, I want to keep my Fujianese ready. So that's how I kept my Fujianese intact. Most of the English you're listening is words you barely never heard. I used them on a regular basis back in the day. Sufficiency. I still use that to an extent, but I rarely ever hear anyone use the word sufficient. It's not the same as necessary. And people don't use necessary either. They use need. There's a difference between need and want. And that is necessary. Necessary, I can't spell necessary, and sufficiency. These are not used very often. Like, I don't hear them very often. I use them. Is commonish? No, it's not. You can go ahead and try and count. Go and try and count how many times people use it in conversation. I disagree with you. It represents like 0.1%, if not even less. And I'm not talking about using them simply to use them. I'm also talking about what they mean in relation to each other. Can you describe the difference between necessity and sufficiency? Like, use them in a sentence. Describe an example in which sufficiency and necessity or necessary is used to distinguish each other. And then we can also talk about like likely versus mostly. It's not common at all. I think you're relative. Necessary is mostly Discord moderation when you checked. Is mostly Discord moderation? What does that mean? I don't see. I don't even know what you mean. Like, necessary is mostly Discord moderation? Like, most common contexts use word. Okay, but it's not in the context of sufficiency. Like, for example, I'll give you an example for Discord. Oh, I don't have my So, like, for example, no, I'll give you the same context. When you said friends use the words, right? So, like in Discord, your friend could say, it is, I don't even know, it is necessary, we'll take a guess. It is necessary to eat a healthy diet. Versus, it is sufficient to eat a healthy diet. The alternative usually is like, you need to eat healthy versus you should eat healthy. That is one way to not use these words. So probably something like this. Probably. Probably is another one as well, expressing probabilistic occurrence. Like saying probably, maybe, maybe, guess, perhaps. I think these are, when you say commonish, these are less commonish than is, will, are, which is the popular this, could, would, should. Actually, these are pretty low on the list. It's usually is or will. Have to. So, expressing probability is less commonish. So when you're saying it's commonish, you're comparing it to what is common, and it's not usually. Right? It's not usually common compared to what is common to replace them. So is often replacing likely. Right? And true is replacing, it's probably replacing likely most of the time. False, right? False is replacing unlikely. Oh, here's a good one. Every is replacing almost. Yeah. So, and it's not a bad or good thing. The idea is now you have to understand these things. So when someone says it's true, it's probably likely true. As in, they have good reason, quote unquote, reason to believe it's true. And false is, it's probably, actually false also means undesirable. Yeah, English has changed quite dramatically on it. False means unlikely or undesirable. True means likely and desirable. And then every is almost, but good enough. It's usually good enough. That's what they're doing. Okay. You check some server managed counts, and the counts are what you predicted in terms of what lower, but really not by much. You don't know that. You're self-selecting. It's a self-selecting sample size. What is your sample size versus my sample size is very different. Not by much can be a lot with a different scale. And you don't represent all of Discord. So anecdotally speaking, you have a self-selection. So it's not based on the raw counts. You're counting for results. You're not counting for process. So you need to know the context of every term that has been used. And I'm not saying I have an answer for this. My concern is you're creating you literally said this stuff. Like you literally just did this part instead of this part. There's no way that that would be enough to convince me anything. It might be sufficient to prove a point, but it does not meet the necessary requirements to reach a conclusion. That is like universal or something that we can agree upon. I don't think it reaches that necessary threshold. Anyways, that's good that you can search server messages. I'm not entirely sure if I would use that as a way to predict things. Probably do like a more of a data mine or something of Discord in general. If it turns out to be true, then that's interesting. Let me know if that ever interests you.
Okami.
All right, cool. So, oh no, no, that's okay. Right? 68. What time is it? Wait, why are these separated by 4? Oh, because this is the first half. Okay. Yeah, this was the overlap from yesterday. You'd be interested in comparing common words for multiple servers? Yeah, me too. That would also be an invasion of privacy, but I would love for Discord and stuff to do some sort of meta-analysis for that. But that would also insist that people, it would probably get some moral dilemma of, you know, in order to do that, you would have to have privy to all of the chat in Discord, and there's ethical concerns for it. we're not gonna go into that digression, but generally, in order to answer questions of that magnitude, you would require data that comes from people with liberties. So usually self-selection is often a problem. Like Churn and Co. Why do we have to be moral? Because that's what makes us human, right? Here's one that a Churn shared. He shared the EPI or something, whatever it's called, the English proficiency thing, as a representation of English proficiency in non-native English speaking countries, right? But the thing you have to keep in mind is, what is the selection? There's a really big obvious criticism for using this as a barometer for English proficiency. The test takers are all voluntary. So all the English proficiency things are likely inflated. People don't take this exam because they suck at English. Or they have to take English. Have to take it. They only take it when they're expecting to take it. So all those ratings that you saw, they're usually higher. And whichever country pushes their scholars to do well on this exam, inflates the scores. It's not an accurate depiction of the average proficiency because of sampling bias. A standardized exam, a standardized admissions obligation would be able to solve some of the problems of self-selection. And not all of the problems. But there are some things that making it mandatory as a barometer is useful. But that proficiency thing, I didn't go into this because of, someone using it as a way to determine their experience with English in another country. It's a very different thing when you're comparing voluntary proficiency. Now, it still says a lot of interesting things. It says that those people who voluntarily take the tests, how well they perform on average to other countries. That's what's useful about that data. That data does not provide a barometer for what your experience with English is like in a country, because the people you interact with may not be the same people that self-select themselves into the exams. That's data problem. If your selection doesn't represent what your data is saying, you have no way of using that as a way to interpret the data, right? If your entire sample size are high achieving students, then the scores you have, right, like whatever 691 is, that's inflated. It doesn't represent the country. It represents the country's high achieving students, and that's why proficiency scores can be a little misleading. How it's administered, like the method they gathered the data, is very important to know what the results mean or could mean. And that deals with scientific thinking, right? When someone says, oh yeah, so if we do this, then this goes up on average. And I'm like, okay, so who are the samples? Fitness had a lot of problem with this in the layman when it comes to fitness, because oftentimes people don't say, are they trained? Is it a trained cohort? Or is it an untrained cohort? When you use untrained cohort, you can see effects that don't affect trained cohorts, and vice versa. And then there's deficiency. Deficiency is another one. A lot of times the effects are applied to deficient groups, not untrained groups nor trained groups. They are applied to unhealthy groups. So then when people look at the data, it's like, oh yeah, you do this, that means I would get better. It's like a deficiency is a recovery. It's a compensation of the effect, not a gain in an effect. So when you have a control group, that's what controls are for. So does the proficiency, I don't actually know how the EF, it might still work. It's that I don't know enough. So I'm not saying it doesn't or it does because I didn't read into their methodology, but I'm guessing in order to control, they would try to find some way to find what a control group is. What is a control group when you're looking at proficiency? You're comparing it to a random sample. It doesn't have to be the entire country, but it has to be a baseline somewhere. So then you compare your proficiency to a control group. It could be a smaller control group, but like say they sampled and got people to take the exam from various, a representative sample. Then they can take a ratio between the proficiency group, like the people who are self-selecting themselves, and look at the control group. If this is statistically significant, then that means the exams don't measure the whole population. So like if you say Japan, for example, that discussion that we had in the Discord, if Japan has lower proficiency in English based on this exam, if there's no statistical significance, no significant delta between a sample group, a random sample group, and the proficiency, then yes, you can use it as evidence to talk about overall experience with proficiency. If there is, which I don't see how they normalize the data, so I have no idea, then it doesn't matter. It only matters among people who want to already learn English. The exam is taken by people who are preparing for the exam. They're not taken by people who don't prepare for the exam or don't care about the exam. So ultimately, if that is what that proficiency rating is, then all of those scores are inflated compared to what people are using the data for. So whenever I look at that thing, when someone posts like, oh yeah, it's cool that our country does this, it's like, it's not your entire country. It's only the people in your country that are educated that are taking the exam. So it only represents you or we or them that are sampled. It doesn't represent your entire country. That's like saying you saw a dumb, quote unquote, dumb version of someone enough times that it represents the entire country. And then we already did this earlier. That's like taking one Discord server and then coming to a conclusion about all Discord. It comes down to sampling, right? Not that it's something we now here. I'm not saying it's easy or even achievable. Most of the time, there's ethical concerns and accessibility to answering these questions. So you can argue that, well, we can at least learn something from it, and that's good. So in no way am I saying what you did was not useful. It produces an interesting question that now may encourage you to find even more data to pursue. And that's why I love science. That's why I like math class with science. When you observe something, it makes you interested in learning more about the details of it. At least that's how I want to advertise why thinking about things is really, it's more part of the fun than like trying to figure out and collecting. That whole routine is more fun than waiting for someone to answer your questions, at least in my opinion. And one of them is definitely those scores. It's kind of concerning because a lot of people that I talk to online are people who work in data. Like, I'm genuinely worried when someone says, "Oh yeah, I work in big data." I'm like, "You work in big data, so why did you use data in that way?" Like, I'm a little concerned. I mean, I kind of worked in big data, but you have to work with small data and understand how it works and how you come to conclusions and use them to inform things before you jump right into big data that leads to actions that deal with really, really big consequences and problems, like a startup company going bankrupt due to mismanagement with corollary action, right? Or investment strategies that tank an entire billion-dollar industry because they use the data inappropriately. That type of thing, right? Hello there, Bree. Good morning. I mean, not good morning. Good evening. Good evening, Bree. How are you? How are you? Anyways, that's something for another time. And I don't have privileges to any sort of data, so your guess is as good as mine. And it is interesting to see how other people collect their data and use their data. I think it presents a great way to have people talk about what they're doing in order to benefit from talking to each other. So sharing anecdotes and sharing their own personal experiences, it's part of the bigger data set. Right? It's also a privilege too, largely because privacy is a thing. So whenever you tell me about your Discord thing, that's like kind of privileged knowledge for me because I wouldn't have access to that knowledge or that data without you, basically, Mika. So then when we combine our data, it's probably a little from column A and a little from column B situation. Doing all right. Went out into the sea of madness. Oh, you went out for Black Friday to get a few things. Okay. More supportive shoes. I love it. And some new jeans. Intriguing. For work, right? Saved 100, which was nice. I'm really happy that you were able to find more supportive jeans. Was there a dress code for where you're going to work soon? It's coming up soon, right? The weekend is fast approaching. Did you need is there a specific dress code? I don't know anything about these things, but it is really nice to hear. I'm glad you also, Mika, I'm glad you think it's more fun to do the question answering and the problem seeking stuff, because I think that'll go a long way. It'll go a long way to balance out the what is it, the chronic need, the necessary need, the necessary feeling of certainty when you can find out. Not sure, they didn't specify, so you just got some dark colored jeans and black shoes. Hopefully these work. Yeah, hopefully those work. I like to think it's reasonable that those work. My mother works at a bakery, like a big grocery store company, local company bakery. So, and she usually has like a shirt, like a company issued shirt, but generally speaking, I don't think like pants came with the thing, so she usually just wears something comfortable, at least a bit stretchy, right? Stretchy, breathable, easy to wash and maintain, and then shoes that are incredibly supportive. So that's the stuff that I feel like if you have to work, gotta have enough flexibility in your uniform for your work that at least could offset some of those things. Maintenance is a big deal in my opinion. I think that's kind of overlooked when people think about dressing for work. Maintenance. Sometimes when you have to take care of your clothing that are like less and less that become more and more maintenance, it leads to like a pit of extra work that may tip the scales to being a nuisance. So investing in at least something comfortable that you want to wear, it can offset the idea of maintaining those. You were here considering melatonin almost 2 hours ago. I see. So have you tried melatonin before? Thinking, nah, I won't because you'll be asleep by the time it kicks in, and yet here I am. Yeah, okay. You should try to get some sleep, Mika. Somehow. I don't know what their routine is from all we talked about. This might have been a little too stimulating. The jeans you like that fits you well are usually around $60. They were on sale for 20 though. Okay. Well, if you're gonna get those jeans, you know, that fit you well, you might as well get them for less. I'm glad to hear your how is it these days, Bree? I haven't been out on a Black Friday in it's a long time when you have to think about it. 17 years, maybe? I'm gonna say 17 years since I've been out on a Black Friday. And that time that I remember, we deliberately went out for the experience. And I still remember standing by, it was very cold that day. It was snowing and we were in front of the Target. And I mean the group of like 6 or 7 people. And I clearly remember people setting up like hot chocolate, like hot cocoa stands in the place. It's a fairly ritzy place, like a ritzy neighborhood. So people were going out to support the Black Friday. So we had a bunch of people giving out hot cocos to keep people warm while they were waiting in line. I still remember that. I think that was 17 years ago. And I don't think it was a negative experience. I think it was really cute. Like, obviously we were cold and whatnot, but we were young. And then everyone else, like, there were people on lawn chairs. There are people like have like mini tents up and whatnot. I thought it was really cool. It was a really fun experience. Actually, I haven't ever been out to Black Friday like when I was younger. So it was usually in my college years and flanking my college years that I was out on a Black Friday. But outside of that, I don't think I've ever been to a Black Friday in my advanced adult years. You actually sleep to videos and stream VODs a lot, so not really? Okay, you're just not quite in the sleeping mood. Fair enough. Hopefully tomorrow doesn't, right? Gotta try to get some semblance of consistency, Mika. It was absolutely insane. Maybe it was just a store you went to, but it was packed to the brim. It's 3 stores in Kohl's. Sephora. I have no idea what Sephora is. Babies R Us is still around? Interesting. So it's a huge building, yet it felt like there was barely standing room. Back in the college days, I still remember going to like an outlet and you legitimately can't even stand around. Like, even if you wanted to see the items on the shelves, you can't. Like, it's just walls of people. While it sounds like it's maddening and crazy, I kind of miss it. Like, what I mean is, it's nice that it's still kind of like that, in my opinion, Brie. I know you're saying it's nice to see people like out and about, like, because my mind is so warped from COVID. Like, the closest thing I have to that absolutely insane feeling is Otakon at an anime convention, and that's still really awesome to see. You just don't see that very often, especially during COVID. Man, there was times when I remember the rare times when I walked out during COVID, everything felt like a ghost town. Like, legitimately things were like a ghost town. No more runners, no more bikers. Like it now like I don't actually know what it's like anymore. So that's kind of like the last imagery that I had. You went out and there's like one person. Recently I have gone out though, and it was okay. It looked fairly mild. I do miss seeing people being people. Maybe I'll go out next Black Friday. Make it an event. Rekindle that impending midlife crisis. It's almost been half my life since I've been outside during like a shopping spree or something. Sephora is a makeup store. Oh, I see. And you think, you don't know, there's no separation between the stores, just signs saying which store you're in. It kind of feels like a mini mall. Oh, okay. But you just know everyone was spraying perfume in the body sprays in the Sephora. The walking through made you gag. Wait. You mean it made you feel alive, right? Here, like, I'll give you one that I miss because of COVID. And I'm not saying they're not back up. I miss it because I've become too complacent to participate in it before. But because of COVID, my momentum, I'm gonna tie into what I was ranting about earlier with Mika. My momentum disappeared before I had a chance to really iron it out. And that was Tough Mudders. So I'm not sure if you've ever come across this spree. I'm sure you have. Like, probably your location is pretty good for Tough Mudder. So Tough Mudder is a what is it, like 20 I want to say it's like a 21 mile, I don't know exactly the numbers anymore. 21 mile, maybe like 30. It's not 21 miles, is it? Hold up. Hold. Oh no, it's not. It's 12 miles. 12 miles. Half. 12 miles. It has most of the time it had like 20 plus obstacles, right? And whenever you go here, it's not really there's a competitive wave in the beginning, but most of the time it's like families. And there's just tons of families rolling around in the mud trying to like get over a wall and stuff. And whenever I think about feeling like how cool it is to be with other people, like working together, this was what I remembered. And before before COVID, this was peaking. Like Tough Mudders were peaking, but then COVID kind of slammed shut on a lot of this. Since then, it's started up again. Like I get emails from the Spartan races and Tough Mudder organization, like and then Eventbrite ticket things, because I used to go annually to one of these Tough Mudder things. It kept me training, kept me actively training for things. And it's not really about performance or how fast you are. It's more like being around people trying to do things. It's crazy to see like a 60-year-old man and woman with their younger generations trying to form a pyramid running up a very slippery incline. And there's just a bunch of them, and then, you know, a bunch of people forming like a chain, and they all have like different ways of collaborating together to get over a big obstacle. It was amazing. That's kind of how I think about it when I'm going to Black Friday. Like, people are outside and all of them are coordinated enough to create an excessive influx of consumerism. I know there are other things. People can focus on other things like the cynicism of consumerism and whatnot. However, to me, in a contrast, in a post-COVID world, it's kind of awesome to still see that there are things that haven't changed about like being around humans. Is kind of what your story makes me feel hopeful about. It's still neat that humans still do things in a confined space, despite how absurd it may sound. You think the worn makeup? You think you've worn makeup once in your life? It definitely not your thing. Yeah, yeah. I can really. I mean, you know, you might be saying, well, you're a man, so you might not likely to wear makeup. However, I haven't worn makeup in like any sense of the thing. I have been in situations that it looked like I wore makeup, and that goes back to mud. Like when you get through a tough mudder, it feels like you're wearing makeup. But that makeup isn't makeup, it's mud. Like your face just feels like it has an extra layer of something, and you're like trying to scratch it off or something. I still remember having pictures, and sometimes when you go to like places, you would wear, you know, war paint, if you know what I mean. Like you would put on something. So that's the closest thing that I've ever experienced with makeup, or a skincare routine. I did try to work on a skincare routine at one point, like exfoliate, you know, exfoliate, then cleanse, then moisturize. And I don't do that anymore either. There was a once in my life where I was like, oh yeah, this might be a neat thing to do, and then I learned about it, a lot about it, and it was fun though. It's quite therapeutic. I think people who like skincare routines, I don't necessarily think it's a skincare routine that makes them like ultimately the reason why they look glowy, and I think it's the idea and act of creating routine and wanting to take care of themselves. So individuals who do invest and maintain, not finances, we're not talking about finances, but their behavior in having a skincare routine is also reflexive of their behavior and their lifestyle choice of taking care of themselves, despite for vanity or what have you. Hear me out. I know a lot of people say, oh, you know, beauty is skin deep and whatnot. But if vanity and looking nice allows you to build an entire routine and lifestyle about wanting to take care of yourself, you win. Like that's win. So oftentimes when I'm thinking about people who put on makeup and then go through a skincare routine, my first thought is, if they can do that, they can probably do a lot of other things really, really well towards themselves. So in a way, this isn't a knock on you, Bree. I'm in the same boat. I could care less about a skin routine or makeup. now, for different reasons, but it is really cathartic. I can kind of see it like, if I chose to study Japanese as a way to make myself feel better or like feel nice, someone who does a skincare routine, if they have the money for it, right, the financial money for it, could serve the same purpose. Like studying requires consistency and learning, so does maintaining a skincare routine and makeup. So in a way, you might be thinking, nah, Maku, you don't have an example of that. Japanese females. And if you need like a really strong statistical stereotype, Korean males. Actually, Korea in general. So like it does reflect someone's capacity to do certain behaviors. To me, it might be saying a lot, but I can't see myself maintaining a skincare routine. It's so tough. I guess I haven't said things that I find tough to do. I feel like most of the time, when people talk about things, it plays into my strengths, but there are some weaknesses, right? I don't take care of my hair. Like, I really don't take care of my hair. You could say some people might say like, oh, you just have good genes, and I'm like, yeah, I'm lazy. There are things I'm lazy about. Skincare is probably one of them. Yeah, you finally got the sleepy dizziness feeling. See you in 6 hours. Oh, all right. I think Mika, good. Go. If she should be in bed now. Okay. All right. So let's finish this and wrap up our Hanzi Hero today, or wrap up and go to our Hanzi Hero today. All right. The second exposure. So let's do our definitions again. Is this detach? Dissolve. Knit. Previously. Normal. Corridor. I think those are it. I think these three are, yep. Alright, let's look at our mana keywords. Read. Youth. N. E. Pool. And row. Alright. So our reads, our definition. So D, detach, U, dissolve, N, knit. Showy, key, previously, fu, normal, go, exceptional, un, model, o, obstruct, jo, exclude, dean, inquire, ikut, how much, ro, corridor, soul, sweep, doro, mud, bowl, pole, go, surprised, han, sai, soul, storehouse, son, grandchild or descendant, grandchild, fine, su, nest, hai, belt, diameter, u, rescue, sun, scatter, kun, outer, paused on vein today like twice, nyaku, vein, sai, vegetables, rates, bikut, land, ni, resemble, in, equal, o, grave, pu, wealth, toku, virtue, an, search, and he, spy. Alright, we did a little bit of yapping. It's a pretty quick day, not too bad. And that's a wrap for WaniKani today. We're gonna watch this later. Arigatou gozaimasu. As always, feel free to follow along, pick up WaniKani, give it a try for yourself. Always welcome to come on by, yap, share some of your stories, and maybe trust me that I'll spin it in some sort of functional, broken record way to be about the celebration of life, right? I think earnestly that if I can do that is a great practice to trying to make people want to live in their moments, right? Share their moments. Talk about their moments. That is something that often comes at more so a cost of time, but less at a cost of everything else. You know, like certainly talking doesn't bring money into your pockets, but it also doesn't cost as much as that. So getting people to talk, catch up each day, see how your day is, it goes a long way to having a mutual appreciation of what people do day in and day out. And maybe, just maybe, every so often, a little bit by little bit, want to invest in finding, I guess, a bit of pride and a bit of appreciation for the things you can control, and then be able to make those decisions and then share it with someone, right? It's awesome to see a generalized proactive nature that can come from sharing experiences or wanting to impress upon someone else. That is, I mean, other than yourself, like you can impress other people as well. Like, while there's this stigma with vanity or stigma with clout, it still is more than not having the motivation or the encouragement for clout chasing or others, right? We're talking about the lesser of things. So yeah, definitely do something that you think other people will want to hear about, or at least someone who's willing to exchange ideas and exchange memories. I think that and we're specifically talking about people who are spending a lot of time thinking about inaction, right? Things that being stoic and tolerance and coping cannot necessarily maintain. So you're more than welcome to come on by and we can nudge it a little. Nudge it to not just coping, but also looking forward and thinking about what you can do with your current circumstances, right? So until next time, 皆さんまたね。見てくれてありがとう。Right? Thanks for watching. I'm gonna get up, stretch, walk around a little bit. Check out my time machine, and I will be back for Hanzahiro. Thank you.